Hello. Okay, sorry. My name is Tom Perry. My pronouns are he, him. Welcome to First Unitarian Church of Oklahoma City. Our mission is to explore the eternal, nurture community, and pursue the common good. Thank you to our staff and volunteers who make this Sunday service possible. I've heard it said that if everybody quit giving money, but if everybody quit, we'd proceed forward for some time, but if everybody stopped giving their time, we'd have to lock the doors immediately. So thank you to everyone. Welcome to those joining us online. If you are on the YouTube feed, please introduce yourself in the chat so we can get to know you. Please silence your cell phones or other devices. All right, and I want to draw your attention to a few things. Here at 1UC, we always have fun and meaningful events. Next month, everyone is invited to a camp out at Romano State Park the weekend of October 10th through 12th. And also, after the service on the fourth Sunday of the month, which is today, there's the under 40 over easy younger adult brunch group. More information can be found if you talk to Grant and Serenity. Wait, there they are. And meet in Daniel Hall after the service. There's many more events and information in your order of service, in the email newsletter, and the website. If you are looking at the order of service, notice the QR code. And if you're not yet on our email list, please use the QR code to sign up. And if you're online, you can sign up under the newcomers section of the website. Let's take a moment to turn and meet your neighbors. Thank you for helping create a warm welcome in our community. After the service, please stick around to continue your conversation and hope to make some new friends in the social hall. And now for our chalice lighting. Just getting to my spot. Today, Loriana Lee Knapp will light our chalice. We light this chalice in Midtown Oklahoma City on land that was home to the first Americans, including the Apache, Caddo, and Wichita, on land that was taken from the Muskogee and Seminole and other removed and relocated peoples. And I will read these words from Reverend Eric Heller Wagner. Blessed is the fire that burns deep in the soul. It is the flame of the human spirit touched into being by the mystery of life. It is the fire of reason, the fire of compassion, the fire of community, the fire of justice, the fire of faith. It is the fire of love burning deep in the human heart, the divine glow of every life. Please join me now in reciting our covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth and love, and to help one another.
Good morning. I'm Reverend Kent. I'm a tallish, middle-aged white man with brown hair. I'm wearing a black clergy robe and a stole that is purple and green and blue patchwork. I am so glad to be here and glad that you are here too. Because there's too much beauty in this world to give up on it yet. And it is always too soon to surrender to cynicism. You can bring your doubt and your skepticism, your downright confusion, even a little bit of bitterness. But in the midst of all of these, in the center, wrap your tender fingers around the still, bright thread of hope. Feel in your heart that still ready hunger for something more. The vision we glimpse every day, maybe in the rising sun, the light that spreads across the face of our loved ones, the look of knowing all there is to know and still loving life, loving us, just as it is and just as we are. For this 1 hour, we come to celebrate, to praise, to give thanks, to refuse to give up, to steady ourselves, keepers of hope, brave builders of this still possible world. Friends, welcome. Welcome to our time to be together in hope and in worship. Our opening hymn today is in your green hymnals, number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place. I invite you to rise in body or in spirit to join in singing. I'd like to invite you to join me for a short time of prayer. You might settle in a little more deeply to your pew, if that's comfortable for you. Spirit of life, woven into every breath, every gathering, we come with our longing to be part of something whole. Not something perfect, just something whole. May we remember that belonging is not given once, but made daily, in the courage to reach out and the patience to listen. In the spirit of wholeness and belonging, we call into our community our neighbors and beloveds who are struggling, those who had a tough week, and for those whose lives are an endless series of tough weeks. In particular, I lift up my Uncle David, who's searching for the cause of his neurological mess, and for Carol McCormick, whose wonderful, whimsical life is nearing its end. There's also time for joy and ease in these days as the harsh summer sun is softening a bit. This Friday night, our church building practically vibrated with the energy of 16 middle and high school youth together enjoying each other's company for a lock-in. And much of our state breathed a sigh of relief this week. Thankful for change and hopeful for fuller access to good education that is the right of every child. For these concerns and for these joys, for our gruesome and glorious world, we open our hearts in wonder. Amen. And Tim has our story for the Time for All Ages this week.
Good morning. My name is Tim Atkins, and I serve as your Director of Lifespan Religious Exploration, and I brought too many things up there with me. So how many of you here have ever gotten hugged? Raise your hand. Hugged. All right. How many of you have ever gotten a hug when you didn't want one? Oh, so we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And I'm sharing with you a book called More Than Fluff, which is a book that we use in our kindergarten and first grade OWL, Our Whole Lives, Lifespan Sexuality Education curriculum. And we'll be offering the K1 level of OWL later this school year. So our book is More Than Fluff. Daisy happened to be very fluffy. Being fluffy was all anyone noticed about her. Aw, aren't you the cutest thing? I could just eat you up. That snake thinks the chick is adorable. That worries me for later. They squeezed her, they petted her, they kissed her. They popped up out of nowhere and tried to hug her. Well, it ruffled Daisy's feathers. Daisy was not a fan. Only back at home could Daisy relax. Daisy wondered, why do I have to be so soft? I'm not just fluff. I have substance. And then its little sibling asked, what about a smooch? Something had to change. So Daisy decided the time was right for a new look. It was spectacular. What do you think happened? What did she do? Probably jumped in that mucky lake, right? But it was also pretty icky and a bit sticky and super stinky. But by the end of the day, Daisy was right back where she started. Well, Daisy couldn't take it anymore. "I am more than fluff," Daisy shouted. Well, Mom decided to have a talk. "Daisy, honey, I know you're angry, but you really cannot peck others. But everyone wants to cuddle me when I don't want them to." "Well, have you tried telling them how you feel nicely?" So Daisy hatched a plan. A goose came and honked, "It's time for your afternoon cuddle." Daisy replied, "Actually, it's time for you to give me some personal space." "But I wouldn't mind a wing bump instead." She told the, miscellaneous furry creature, "I don't want a hug, but thanks for offering. Good to see you." With a little practice, Daisy got the hang of letting everyone know what she wanted. "I'd prefer if we didn't, but what about a high five? Or how about a low five? Tail bump, pinky shake, super secret handshake. And I'm so sorry I pecked you." Everyone learned to give Daisy some space when she wanted it, and she did the same for them. "Oh, can I give you a hug?" she asked the ladybug. "Nope, no hug, don't want a hug." Daisy replied, "I understand." Daisy happened to be fluffy, and that suited her just fine. "Would you like to read me a story before bed?" "Yes, please. I'd also love a good night hug and kiss, if you would." "Oh, Daisy, I'm always happy to give you a hug and a kiss. Thanks, Mom." So what I love about that story, and what we love about that story in our OWL curriculum, is that it's okay to say no if someone wants to give you a hug. It's okay to ask for a high five instead. So today we're learning all about boundaries in worship, and then we are heading off to our club time for our children and youth, where the art club will be painting with their feet. And much to allay one student's concerns, I do not worry the paintings will be too smelly afterward. For our games club, we're playing our youth group favorite Go Fish, and our outdoors club is going on an urban hike and looking for seeds. So if you will join us in singing our children and youth off to their clubs, we will head out to Daniel Hall and start having some fun. Please join us in singing Go Now in Peace. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the Spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere.
As the first lesson in his writing workshops, the writer George Saunders has a simple exercise. Saunders, author of Lincoln in the Bardo and several other acclaimed short story collections, has students write a story using only 100 words. This is not a 100-word long story. Rather, the story can be as long as you wish, but you can only use 100 specific individual words. Your story must have a beginning, a middle, and end, and you can repeat any word you've already used up to that 100. If you've already used your 100 and your story just absolutely requires a new word, you have to go back and take something out. So choose wisely. What Saunders reports is that this simple exercise, as much as any other practice, improves the beginner's writing to a startling degree. With a word limit in place, every sentence, phrase, or bit of dialogue becomes extremely intentional and considered. Nothing can be accidental or slapdash. In my own life, I have found inspiration from this sort of boundary. A friend of mine once told me, "Until you can say no, your yes doesn't mean anything." When he told me that, it hit me hard. At the time, I was struggling with all of the overs, overcommitting, overhelping, etc. In a short span of years, I was serving on the board of both One UC and a local nonprofit, was coaching a middle school chess team, leading the canvas here, teaching RE, and caretaking my elderly parents, one of whom was declining with dementia. I threw myself into these tasks with no real idea of how much of me they would need or any real idea of how much I was willing to give. On a good day, I did a lot and was even cheerful. On a bad day, I would either procrastinate, feeling in turns guilty or resentful, or just trudge through the work with grim and joyless determination. Even on the good days, there was a part of me that feared that some situation, especially with my parents, would escalate and be more than I could handle. Throughout all of it, there was a lingering sense that I needed to hold back some part of me lest I be swept away completely. After hitting bottom with my stepmother's unpredictable demands and my father's disastrous finances, I came upon a solution, a limit. I would do one task a day. One, drive someone to a doctor's appointment, that's one. Straighten out a bill, that's one. Drive abruptly across town to fix a television that was inexplicably set to Spanish dubbing. That's also one. One task a day was nowhere near enough to keep ahead of their situation. But it was what I could do and keep a compassionate and open-hearted attitude. This arbitrary limit was like Saunders' word count, a container with which I could be more intentional rather than adrift in a wide open sea. This limit was a built-in no that gave me safety, a built-in no that felt like a net under my trapeze, a built-in no that made my yes meaningful and sustainable. All right, so this week's call to offering. Generosity is a spiritual practice we embrace every Sunday when we take an offering. All the cash and designated checks are distributed directly to external nonprofit organizations that are doing good work in the world. The Change for Change partner this month is Latitude Legal Alliance. Latitude Legal Alliance provides quality immigration legal services and support to a growing immigrant population of Oklahoma. They fill a service gap as there are relatively few immigration legal practitioners and even fewer nonprofit legal resources available here in Oklahoma. As we enjoy the offertory music, our ushers will pass the offering plate in the sanctuary. Online, you can make a gift through the One UC website or send a check to First Unitarian. Just make sure you write Change for Change in the memo line.
reading this morning is a reflection from a friend and colleague, the Reverend John Morehouse. He writes, "I remember the first time I really understood the concept of inclusion. I was leading a staff meeting in one of my previous congregations. There were 6 of us, 4 men and 2 women. One of those women was our newest hire, an Asian American whose job it was to lead us, ironically it would turn out, in becoming more diverse and socially active in our justice work. We were discussing a strategy to reach out to immigrant rights groups in our area. Our diversity specialist started to speak up, and I ignored her and kept talking. And as so often happens when men speak over women, she stopped talking. I didn't even notice. When I asked her what she thought she would do, she said, 'Seems to me you have it all figured out.' I was perplexed. After the meeting, she asked if she could speak with me. After I closed my office door, I could see she was angry. I've never been comfortable with anger, but sensed I needed to listen. 5 strong daughters and their mother teach you that. She told me that I was wrong to cut her off on at least 3 fronts. The first, because I was a man. I just assumed I could keep talking when she had started to speak. Second, that as a woman of color, that slight was emphasized by what it said to the other white people in the room. Her voice was secondary. And third, her experience, indeed the very reason she was hired, was to work on the issue we were discussing. I started to speak again before she was done, and she shut it down. I am not finished. And she went on to explain that men speaking over women is a symptom of patriarchy, and that my dismissing her for her thoughts was a symptom of white supremacy culture, in which the white person is the norm and the authority. I started to say this was not my intention. She interrupted me and said, "I don't care what your intention is, it's the impact that matters." I would like to say that I totally corrected my behavior. I didn't. But it did begin my education as a white cisgendered man of a certain age and a certain authority. As I would learn in the coming years, it's because of my authority, and I would say the authority of most of the people in this room, that I am called to put that authority to the task of inclusion. Here ends our reading.
Good morning. I'm totally ad-libbing, so don't hate me, but I wanted to tell you the text of our anthem this morning. Our anthem this morning is The Quiet Heart by John Ness Beck, and here is our text that we will be singing throughout. The quiet heart knows the pace of kindness. The quiet heart measures love and gentleness. The quiet heart sees beauty in reality. The quiet heart survives in understanding. The quiet heart waits in yearning patience to find the mind of God.
Would you join me for just a short moment of silent meditation? You might let your eyes gently close if you're comfortable doing so. And if it helps, bring your attention to the gentle rhythm of your breath, finding some stillness in that very simple anchor for your mind. Namaste. Amen, shalom, and blessed be. For the past couple of weeks, a famous Mark Twain quote has been circulating on social media. Mark Twain wrote, "Patriotism is supporting your country all the time and your government when it deserves it." Sage words. I want to lean on that sentiment a little bit from Mark Twain. For Unitarian Universalists, we might say our faith is about loving the people all of the time and loving their ideas and their behavior when they deserve it. Being open, being welcoming, accepting, diverse, pluralistic, compassionate community does not mean that anything goes. Yes, we welcome all people, but we do not welcome all ideas. In fact, to create a sanctuary that is big enough for everyone, it is sometimes necessary to establish some boundaries. Sometimes we say no. We will not debate or entertain conversations that are explicitly racist or sexist or homophobic or transphobic. That conversation is over. We're not going to rehash that here. I came to one of those boundary moments myself when I was completing my doctorate of ministry several years ago. I was taking classes at Phillips Theological Seminary in Tulsa. One of my classmates was a United Methodist pastor. I'm sure you have heard that the United Methodist Church has been wringing their hands about 2S LGBTQ plus inclusion for a long, long time. And it's a debate that continues today. For context, I came out in Oklahoma in the late 90s as a Unitarian Universalist youth. Just as long as United Methodists have been chewing on this question, I have been very sure of the answer. So this classmate of mine was actually on the more progressive side of the United Methodist Church, but he wanted to talk over and over about the debate regarding full inclusion for LGBTQ plus people. Actually, I'm pretty sure that he was talking about it with the word homosexuality. After 3 or 4 conversations with him, which I did not initiate, I finally got to a stopping point. I decided I'm not having this conversation anymore. I don't have the time or emotional bandwidth to engage in a discussion that's been decided and closed to me for a long time. It's harmful to me and misleading to you to continue that conversation. Because when I debate, I suggest that there is some possible validity to the fear and hatred on the other side. My worth and dignity aren't up for debate with anyone. Here at First Unitarian Church, some things are just not open for debate. That boundary may be drawn as an individual or as a congregation. Either way, there is a line that we agree keeps us safe, and that's okay. Our commitment to love our neighbors does not make us close-minded. This is the last Sunday of the month focusing on this topic of belonging. And in some very important ways, boundaries play a key role in fostering a sense of community where people can actually belong. Without boundaries, marginalized voices remain on the margins, while those who have been empowered continue the habit of speaking first and loudest. Now, boundaries is one of those words that's been perhaps overused in the last decade, maybe more the past few years. But I wanted to bring it up today because it holds a specific meaning. Boundaries are something that we set for ourselves. Boundaries are about how we respond to the world, not rules for other people. The easiest example is around work in the digital age. For most of us, work is no longer something that happens in a particular place in a particular time of the week. Today, emails and text messages are sent around the clock. We may try to give our coworkers rules about when it's okay to email or text, but boundaries are how we respond to them or not. It's up to us to choose when and how we will engage. Maya Angelou famously said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them." She was encouraging people to notice the true character and actions of others rather than who we hoped or expected them to be. The more uncomfortable bit of wisdom is the reversal of her words. Every day, we show other people who we are. Every day, we implicitly tell people how they can treat us. We show them we will or we will not reply to work on the weekends. We show them we will or we will not entertain their racist joke. We show them that we will comply or not. We may not be able to control other people's behavior or their demands on us, but we can control how we respond. One big flashing red warning light of when it might be time to start saying no is when that feeling of resentment starts to rise a little bit that Tom was talking about, I think. Resentment is a quietly destructive emotion that grows like a cancer if it is allowed to. If saying yes builds more and more resentment, it's probably time to include in your vocabulary a little more no, especially between spouses. Too many yes dears leads down a very, very scary path. If you really do mind, then say something. That includes here at church. We ask a lot of members. Most people in our community are incredibly generous with time and money. Over the years, the generosity of Unitarian Universalists has really shocked me sometimes. And no one should resent their spiritual home. I don't want anyone to resent the number of hours they spend on a project or the physical effort that something takes, or the money that they give. To be fair, major generosity may give you a little pause sometimes. You may even joke a little bit about what you do. A little complaining feels good sometimes, I get it. But if there's serious resentment about what you give to your faith community or your neighbors, then stop or just slow down. When you begin to resent your giving, it's time to reevaluate and maybe say no every once in a while. I need to offer a little bit of a disclaimer here. This talk about boundaries could suggest that people get taken advantage of because they allow it to happen. This is not meant to blame historically oppressed people for their experiences. That includes women who have carried a disproportionate burden for unpaid labor in the home for as much of history as I am aware of. In certain situations, drawing a boundary can be dangerous or impossible. Sometimes a verbal no is not heard, so people are left to use their bodies to enact their no. The Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King clarified that the riot is the language of the unheard. I'll say that again. The riot is the language of the unheard. You don't hear white politicians quoting that version of Dr. King very often. Throughout history, people have struggled to express and enact boundaries to demonstrate that injustice and dehumanization are no longer tolerable. It's a human right to choose how we will respond. We Unitarian Universalists often avoid acknowledging our own power and our own ability to draw boundaries. Perhaps we've seen power used to take advantage of marginalized people. Maybe we're a member of one of those marginalized groups ourselves and have felt exploited. Or possibly we've become aware of our own privilege. Through that awareness, we might realize that we have been and occasionally are still complicit with oppressions. Perhaps we're nervous that just by living in these bodies and in this economy, we exercise power, inadvertently oppressing and marginalizing our neighbor. I know that feels gross. When we are aware of systemic oppression and history, when we take that kind of power seriously, the moral implications are really, really scary. And for marginalized people, infuriating. Here's the problem, though. Power is a real defining feature of our interdependent web. Ignoring it does not make it go away. Just like money, it is real. It might help to think of it as a tool. It can be used to do terrible things in the world, or it can be shared and used carefully to build up and to heal and to help create the world that we dream about. But too often our discomfort causes us to pretend as if power doesn't exist. It's a pretty dangerous approach. In our path to ministry, we're called to think really carefully about power. Where does ministerial authority come from anyway? What gives someone the right to stand in a pulpit on Sunday mornings and share what they think, or to be trusted with the very private lives of congregants? It turns out there are a small handful of good answers to those questions. There are also some very wrong answers to those questions. But the absolutely unacceptable approach is for ministers to ignore the question altogether. Professionals, doctors, attorneys, teachers, therapists, by virtue of those relationships, wield a tremendous amount of power in the lives of the people they work with. So they adhere to a code of ethics, a set of boundaries that recognizes a power differential to protect everyone in those relationships. One that we can relate to is parents. Parents have a tremendous amount of power. Starting out, it's sort of an ultimate existential power over their children that evolves into providing some protective boundaries. Later on, that evolves still to sort of an emotional influence and empowering and trusted wisdom. Think back to your own parents and the influence they likely had on you throughout their entire lives. The power of parents is real. That opportunity to shape another human life is a beautiful thing. Now, when that parental power is abused or unrecognized, when the responsibility is ignored, terrible things can happen. That doesn't mean that power is inherently destructive. It simply means that we have to take it seriously. And power exists here in our congregation, or in any congregation, both formally and informally. Our board of trustees, and I would wager a bet that most of you couldn't name our board of trustees, but that's okay. Our board of trustees is responsible for managing several $1 million of assets and employing the staff, the employment and livelihood of several people, maintaining an institution that's 132 years old. With that office comes a responsibility to make hard decisions, to set policies and procedures, to create some boundaries to ensure that we don't just maintain, but we continue on with our core values. But more importantly for today's conversation, most of you also hold informal power in this community. As members or as elders, as insiders, or as people with privilege, do you have the power to shape how we live our values Sunday to Sunday, in coffee hour and committees and all those small conversations? You have the power to pause a conversation to listen to the unheard voice, or to interrupt a racist assumption. You have the power to ask a hard question and to directly or indirectly say, I don't think that's what we're about here. Together, you shape the boundaries of who we are and how we will be together. That means you. Yes, you who are wondering, who, me? Certainly not me. Yes, that's exactly who I'm talking about. Unless this is your very first year of participating at First Unitarian, you have power. You shape the boundaries that keep us on track with our values. That's also true in other areas of your life. Because I don't think most people know, I should also point out that there are a few formal boundaries of behavior at First Unitarian. Remember, we're not a creedal church, we're a covenantal one. There's not something, a theology that you have to believe in, but we do agree to treat each other with mutual respect. So there is a disruptive behavior policy. It's sort of a path for leaders in the congregation to address and stop behavior that disrupts our life together. I hope someday we also create a conflict transformation policy. And I know those probably sound really legalistic to you, and you think, are such rules really necessary? can't we just get along and be respectful? Well, no. Apparently, in my experience of church life, that is not the case. In my experience, it is invaluable to have some tools in place for when things are less than perfect. Rather than creating up a process on the fly, leaders are saved by having a procedure to follow, some pathways to mend and to rebuild relationship and covenant. Power is real, and conflict happens even here. All of that is okay. Sometimes communicating about our boundaries is the kindest thing we can do. Setting clear expectations and accountability can be helpful to people. In one of the congregations I served, one of our longtime members had survived multiple traumatic brain injuries, and she still pops up in my memory today as an inspiration for her courage and engagement with her own healing. Part of her struggle was sort of removing her social filter. She lost track of how other people might respond to what she said. She also happened to be a clinical psychologist and a very insightful person, so when she shared her opinion, it cut like a knife. Occasionally someone would speak up. They might say, "Ouch, that was kind of mean. That didn't feel so good." Most of the time, though, those moments would pass by with some silent resentment and ignoring it and pretending that everything was okay. But every once in a while, the opportunity was taken for both an opportunity for her to learn some social cues and also for her to sincerely apologize and for that relationship to get mended. Just because someone paused and had the courage to say ouch or no or even ask, what was that about? The simplest version of communicating our boundary is that important two-letter word. Sometimes the right answer is no. Ideally, no is not our first response or even our first thought. This is a sermon about drawing reasonable boundaries to preserve our sense of self, not about shutting out the whole world. While we deepen our sense of self, it's also important to live our lives with a sense of openness and opportunity. Hope is a practice of saying yes to life. Like any practice, it's something that takes effort to do over and over until it becomes natural. With a world around us that is quite ready to say no to us, let our goal to be to say yes when we can, to greet new opportunities and ideas with a positive attention, and to know our boundaries and share them clearly. Amen. Our closing hymn today is also in your green hymnals. It's number 1051, We Are. I want to invite you to rise in body or in spirit to join in singing. Ooh.
Child that's born, a morning star rises
chalice is now extinguished, but its light lives on in the minds and hearts and souls of each one of you. Carry that flame with you as you leave this place and share it with those you know, with those you love, and most especially with those you have yet to meet.
We leave our time of worship, but not our connection with each other. Our concerns or our connection and our concern keep us together. Our service to each other, to the world, and our faith continues until we are together again. Friends, be strong, be well, and be loving. Go in peace.